friends, welcome back. I've done it again. And I have only myself to blame. My favorite thing to do is to buy books. I went to 2 library sales and my local McKay's to do some book shopping. And that I did. We've been here before. If you guys have seen my original book buying ban book haul video, I bought like 25 plus books. I didn't go that far this time, okay? I held myself back. I only got 19. I did take quite a few into my local McKay's to donate. I feel like I donated just as much as I bought, but we're not going to talk about that. We don't need to. It's not important. What's important is my happiness, and this makes me happy. So, without further ado, without further, talking and rambling as I like to do, the first book that I got was Soundless. Now, this book is definitely one that caught my attention due to the fact that it says Vampire Academy and Bloodline series. This is from Richelle Mead. I have no idea if I've never read the Vampire Academy or Bloodlines, but it sounded interesting. Basically, this girl lives in a village where no one can hear, and then one day she hears and goes crazy. So I bought that. This next book that I got, I'm actually really excited because I don't have any of her books in my library, but this is my first V.E Schwab book that I picked up, and this is Vengeful. I think this is the second book in the Vicious series, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a pretty decent copy. I mean, it's not horrible. I don't care as long as I can read it. What's the matter, right? So I got my first V.E Schwab book, and I'm super excited. I hear that she's a really good writer, and she does a lot of, I think mystery. I could totally be wrong on that. That was a good one. I feel like the books that I got at my library, some of them weren't the first book in the series, and of course I didn't know much about them, so I was just going based off what I read. This was one of them. This is a chunker too, mind you. I don't even know how many pages this is. How many pages is this? What I find crazy, this is like 630 pages, but that is huge, okay? It's like the size of my head. I mean, it's the size of my head if you held it up here. Obviously not back here, but this is the 3rd book in the Mask of Mirrors. I didn't realize it was the 3rd book until I brought it home, and I was like, oh, it literally says the 3rd book right there. So needless to say, I'll probably have to buy the first one, obviously, to get into it. But from what I somewhat got from this, mystery and dark magic. So fantasy wise, I don't know if I actually looked up what the first book was about. I should probably honestly do that. That would be smart on my end, wouldn't it? It says, fortune favors the bold, magic favors the liars. Ren is a con artist who has come to the sparkling city of Nadzira with one goal, to trick her way into a noble house, securing her fortune and her sister's future. But as she's drawn into the elite world of House, what are these names, Tremantis? She realizes her masquerade is just one of many surrounding her. And as a nightmare magic begins to weave its way through the city of dreams, the poisonous feuds of its aristocrats and the shadowy dangers of the impoverished underbelly become tangled, with Ren at their heart. The Mask of Mirrors is the unmissable start to the Rook and Rose trilogy, a dazzling and darkly magical fantasy adventure. This has 2 authors, which I didn't realize it. That was the synopsis for the first book. This is the 3rd book, so obviously I'm going to buy the first one. But I read that, but I've completely forgot about it. Excited about this. I've honestly have never heard anyone talk about it, so I'm always excited to try new books that I don't see floating everywhere in the realm of social media and Book Talk and BookTube and Bookstagram and all these places. Excited. Got that book. I picked it up real quick. This next book I'm actually really excited about because you guys know that I've been trying to broaden my horizon with books and trying to read thrillers and horrors and stuff. I found my first ever Stephen King. I bought my first ever Stephen King. Rewind. And this is Fairy Tale. I'm super excited because I feel like I hear a lot of people talk about how this is, I think, one of his first. Don't hold me to that. I do not know my okay? Do not hold me to it. I feel like this is like one of his like originals, maybe. Could be wrong. Could totally be wrong. I'm fine with being wrong. Totally okay with being wrong on that aspect, on that front. Page. No, totally wrong. This was 2022, so definitely not one of his first works, but I feel like a lot of people start here with a lot of Stephen King's. Could also be totally wrong on that, but we're not going to talk about it. I'm normally never right. Don't tell my husband that. Don't tell him. But yes, excited about this one. This next one I got was The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. The premise of this book is she is a bookseller, but she has this ability that she can touch books and see like who's owned them in the past, which is truly interesting. But she finds these like novel, almost letter books that only two people have touched, and they're letters between two lovers, and she's basically just finding out the mystery of what happened to them. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that sounded really good. This next one I'm also really excited about. I didn't buy very many romances. This is probably the only romance. This is YA romance, but it's A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sara Barnard. Never heard of it, never seen it. Sounded good. Steffi is basically selective mute. Being selective mute, she's kind of had to somewhat learn sign language along the way. And she's in high school and she's kind of just going through life until one day Reese comes to her school and he is actually deaf. So she is given the responsibility to kind of acclimate him into school and kind of help him out. And she's kind of like discovering herself and then also discovering her love, and it just sounded really interesting. So I picked it up because I've not heard anything about it, and when I finally do decide to get back into romance, maybe I'll give this a pick up. This next one, fun fact of the day, I like Sherlock Holmes. I like Sherlock Holmes so much that I actually have, what is this? I don't even know what it is. The Illustrated Sherlock Holmes Treasury, which is basically, I believe, just a bunch of just short stories, a bunch of like pictures inside and illustrations, which I think adds a good touch to it. It's just a classic that sits on my shelf. Before I get off on that tangent, I do like Sherlock Holmes. I've always liked the sort of like Knives Out, inheritance games. I like where you have to kind of use your brain to figure out these mysteries and put puzzles together. I think that's a lot of fun. I love playing games like that. So I got the Beekeeper's Apprentice. Also, look at how pretty this cover is. Gorgeous. She's a little beat up, but that's okay. She's got character, okay? The Beekeeper's Apprentice. Basically what this is, Sherlock Holmes is retired at this point. 15-year-old Mary Russell decides that she is going to go work for Sherlock Holmes, and he's retired taking care of his bees, okay? And a mystery happens, and her and Sherlock Holmes get back in the game of finding out the mystery, solving the mystery, and it said Sherlock Holmes on it. I picked it up and I was like, ooh, that sounds good. She might have a little love and wear, but that's character. Anyway, so about that, it is by Laurie. Have I not been saying the names of these? I apologize if I've not said the names of these. I'll put a list of everything I bought, obviously, down in the comments, but this is by Laurie R. King. The first Mary Russell novel. I thought it was really pretty, and I like Sherlock Holmes, and then I thought the idea of like him and this 15-year-old girl, you know, getting together to solve a mystery, one of her first mysteries to solve because she wants to be like Sherlock Holmes, sign me up. And then these next ones, I feel like with like building your library or like wanting to have like a stay-at-home, not a stay-at-home, what am I even saying? Wanting to have an at-home library, I feel like you have to, one, not only collect classics, self-help, and building your library, at-home library, you can add anything you want to it, but in my case, I feel like I needed to add those classics to it. So I seen these and immediately picked them up. I got Milk and Honey, and then I got The Sun and Her Flowers. Those are all the books that I got from my local library, and then I met up with a friend and went to her local library. The Poison Eaters and Other Stories by Holly Black. I'm a big fan of Holly Black. She wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles, which I have back here. And then I believe she also, I'm hoping that it's the same Holly Black. But she's also the one that wrote the Cruel Prince series, so I had to pick it up. It was the only thing that I found. So I thought this would be like a good little sit down, read a couple of like little short stories, and feel accomplished. So I picked this up. And that's the only book I found. The next day, I went to McKay's and I bought, I literally took in maybe 9 books and I bought 9 books. So it's sort of like trading, except I spent more than I got back. I'm excited about these because I got quite a few good ones that I've heard some really good things about and that I would like to get to eventually, obviously. One of the books that I got was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I'm trying to read more thrillers, and where I've been in sort of a bit of a book slump, I feel thrillers and mysteries and horrors might be the only thing to get me back. Maybe even YA, I don't know. Anyways, I got The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Basically, it's just a mystery thriller about a house across the lake. It's a familiar psychological thriller structure until everything changes, a page-turning climax. I need something that's gonna literally keep my attention span. So something that's literally gonna make me fly through it and want to finish it in a quick motion. So I've been wanting this book forever. I seen it, I bought it. Thank you for staying for so long. But I picked up Circe by Madeline Miller. I just realized it had a scratch on it. No worries. Anyways. But Circe by Madeline Miller, which is the same author that wrote The Song of Achilles. So I'm hoping that this will be just as good as The Song of Achilles. So now I have it on my shelf and I can't wait to get to it. I feel like I've talked a lot about like Reagan on my channel, which is Peru's project. I'll have her link down below. Go watch her channel. I love her. I love watching her videos. But she recently read Ocular Justice by Anne Leckie. It says, on a remote icy planet, the soldier known as Breck is drawn closer to completing her quest. Once she was the Justice of Torn, a colossal starship with an artificial intelligence linking thousands of soldiers in the service of Radk, the empire that conquered the galaxy. Now, an act of treachery has ripped it all away, leaving her with one fragile human body, unanswered questions, and a burning desire for vengeance. There's the book. The next one is, I've actually seen a few people talk about this, and I think her name, there's another one that I follow too. There's quite a few that I follow, and I like all of these creators or content creators are YouTubers, but Jamie Folk, I think is her name. I think I've seen her talking about this. Again, I could be wrong. Don't hold me to anything that comes out of my mouth. Thank you. Anyways, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I think that's how you say it. I could be totally wrong. That is okay. It says, this is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with the Great Red Rift. Across the heart of the world, so continent. Spew ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death. With a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon, and where there is no mercy. It is a Goodreads choice on here as well. But this is also a trilogy. And I believe all 3 books were in McKay's. And I almost picked up all 3 books. But I told myself that I need to be better about not buying full series. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about that, I didn't buy 19 books. I bought 21. See? Don't ever listen to anything that comes out of my mouth. I don't even know how many books I bought, okay? The problem is I recorded this video prior to this and then didn't like how it turned out, so now I'm re-recording and I forgot what books I bought. But anyways, all 3 were in there, but I've been telling myself that I need to stop buying the full series without reading the first book to see if I even like the series, so I'm just sticking to buying the first one, even though I really wanted to buy all of them. I told myself no. The next 2 that I bought, after stating that I've been trying not to buy the whole series without reading the first book, I'm now a hypocrite and buying the series. This, however, I will say, the only reason that I bought the full series on this without actually reading all of it was because they had the original covers and they were a very good deal. And I already had the first one. I didn't really care for the new covers, so I just wanted to keep the old covers. So I bought I bought these 2 books. One is Authority and one is Exception, book 2 and 3 in the Annihilation series. Look at how pretty those are. From what I have gathered from not reading the series, I don't even know if I'm talking correctly, but it is a sci-fi. I've watched the movie. And I know they always say the book is better than the movie. So I seen the book and I was like, ooh, I actually didn't even know that Annihilation was a book. I thought it was just a movie. I actually seen somebody talk about how they watched Annihilation after reading the book, and there were a lot of things that were missing out that didn't really explain a lot of the story. And I was like, well, you know what? I really liked the idea and concept of Annihilation, so why not get the book series? And I did. I had this one. I bought this at Barnes & Noble, and then I seen these 2 at McKay's for like less than $5, and I picked them up to complete the series. Oh goodness. Anyways, I'll put these back on my shelf right there. And they're so pretty. They're like pretty colors. Leave me alone. While I was in McKay's though, since I did buy my first V.E Schwab out of the library, I searched far and wide for some V.E Schwab books. They didn't have very many. A lot of people really like V.E Schwab right now. So I found this one though. This is actually the first book, whereas Vengeful is the second book. I actually bought the first book in one of her series. I'm excited for this. This is The Fragile Threads of Power. Do I know what it's about? No. When do I ever actually know what my books are about? I only know what they're about after I read them. I'm great, guys. I'm great. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking around and deciding to follow my silly little booktube. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't, but I will correct myself in the long run, okay? Just stick around, okay? I promise you won't regret it. You won't regret sticking around for this long, I promise. Anyways, I bought my second one, so I'm excited. I've got the Ministry of Time. This is a Book of the Month edition. This was for May of 2024. This book is basically about a worker who works at a sort of secret project. It's to deal with time and space and traveling the expanse of time and seeing if time travel is actually, if people can actually time travel and be safe about it, in a sense. What they do is they bring people from the past and bring them into the future to kind of acclimate them to see if they could survive or sort of blend into the current society or time that they're brought into. And she ends up bringing someone from, was it 1984? 1847. I'm also dyslexic, don't mind me. 1847, and they bring him into this world, and she is basically his sort of like big brother in a sense. She's basically there to show him around, to get him used to her time. They sort of create this bond. And on the back it says, a boy meets a girl, the past meets the future, a finger meets a trigger, the beginning meets the end. I'm excited about this. This sounds really interesting because of the fact that it deals with time and space and time travel. The fact that they're bringing people from the past into the future to see if they can actually make it in the world or if they can adapt properly. I bought it. This next one is definitely one that I've seen a lot of people talk about. It's a fantasy, it's a romantasy, but it is The Heartless Hunter by Kristin Ciccarelli. If you don't know what this is, good, because you have been living under a rock and you've not been seeing all of this stuff. So he's a hunter, she's a witch. They don't know that they're the other ones, but she's basically trying to save witches. Like during the day she is a noble woman, she's very well known, she gives to the community, but at night she saves witches from being persecuted. He is trying to find, I think she's known as the Crimson Moth, and he is trying to find the Crimson Moth so he can collect all these witches and, you know, round them up and whatnot. And they get together because she wants to use him to make sure that the witches that she's saving are not caught. And he's trying to use her because he thinks that she has some sort of connection to the Crimson Moth, not realizing that she is the Crimson Moth, I guess. It sounded really good, so I seen it and I picked it up and I bought it. I see it, I like it, I want it, I bought it. I promise we're almost done. We have 2 more books. The last one is another Riley Sager. This is the only one left. I've heard a few people talk about this. So basically you're following a young caregiver who is taking care of this older lady who was basically someone who committed a mass murder. As her caregiver, she takes care of her and she slowly starts to figure out a lot of details of what actually happened. It's horrifying, it's thrilling, it's mysterious, it's gripping. Sign me up. And then the last and final book that I bought was Immortal Longings by Gong. I actually don't know much about this. I think it's a sort of like sci-fi fantasy type book. This is Gong's adult epic fantasy debut. Inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, is a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amid a set of deadly games. That's all we need to know. That's all I'm going to tell you. So yeah, I picked it. I've not seen many people talk about it, so I was like, I want to see if it's actually good. I bought this book. I see it, I want it, I like it, I bought it. Ariana Grande is just hitting me up today. Now that we have that finished, I did want to kind of explain some things. I'm putting myself on a buying ban. The only time I'm allowed to buy a book is if I've already read it. So like if I read it on Kindle or if I listen to it on audio and I absolutely love it. Because I need that adrenaline of buying a book. I like it. I like buying books. It's just a sort of endorphins for me, okay? I'm not going to buy any more books. What I'm trying to do right now is a read it or unhaul it. And I've sort of already started my read it or unhaul it. I've already made a jar up there. But I put genres through it. So what I'm basically doing is just picking books on my shelves that I've not read, reading those, and deciding whether or not I want to keep the book or if I'm going to unhaul it and not have it on my shelf anymore. So I feel like this would definitely help me get through all of my unread books, because as of right now I have about 132 books on my shelf that I've not read. I know some people have higher TBRs and I know some people who have lower TBRs. That is currently mine. I don't like that number. I don't like the fact that I've not read as many books on my shelf that I own. So I'm trying to get myself through all of these books. I like having the ability to like sort of choose the books that I want. So I did color code my read it or unhaul it, and that'll come up not the next video but the video after this. I'll be posting my read it or unhaul it. I know that I did a March TBR video, but because all I read in February was romance, it sort of put me into a bit of a reading slump. And I'm really struggling right now, but I will not be reading any of the March picks. And I didn't intend for that to happen, but life happens. Nothing ever goes to plan, and that's okay. It's totally okay if things don't go to plan. I'm fine with it. I'm gonna show you my little stack here. There it is. Yeah. I'm surprised it's still standing up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you enjoy my content, please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on which book you are excited for me to get to, or which books you have read and your thoughts on it. But until next time, friends, bye! If you take anything away from this, support your local library, okay? I am sitting on the floor. Mind your business. What are you doing? This is not an ASMR type video. This next one, it's YA. There is no shadow daddy in this. I'm sorry. Little pet name. Anyways, I see it. I like it. I want it. I bought it.